Dear devotees, please accept my most humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, all glories to our wonderful Gurudev. This is Sri Devi Dasi, your host, and today we have the pleasure of hearing from Her Grace Radha Vinodini on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 12, verse number 12. Over to you, Radha Vinodini Mataji. My humble obeisances to you. All yours now. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. I was just thinking, maybe can you make me co-host for? I would also like to share other things too. So
sure, definitely. Co-host. How do I do that? I have to go on to
on the participants part, and there is a menu beside.
Okay, got it. Okay, I can do that. Thank you, Radha Vinodini.
Thank you. So meanwhile, Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and all glories to Guru Maharaj. So we will speak about Srimad Bhagavatam today, Canto 1, chapter 12, and verse number 12. And I have to admit, this was a bit difficult verse for me because it's about astrology, and I have a difficult relationship with this topic, but I tried my best to say something useful. So I hope it will be useful for you too. And I will start screen sharing. Here we are. Okay, so. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Tata Sarva Gunodarge Sanukula Grahodaye Yage Vamsha Darak Pandor Bhuya Pandor Ivaujasa. Srila Prabhupada's translation. Thereupon, when all the good signs of the zodiac gradually evolved, the heir apparent of Pandu, who would be exactly like him in prowess, took birth. Srila Prabhupada's purport. Astronomical calculations of stellar influences upon a living being are not suppositions, but are factual, as confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam. Every living being is controlled by the laws of nature at every minute, just as a citizen is controlled by the influence of the state. The state laws are grossly observed, but the laws of material nature, being subtle to our gross understanding, cannot be experienced grossly. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 3, verse 9, every action of life produces another reaction, which is binding upon us. And only those who are acting on behalf of Yagya, Vishnu, are not bound by reactions. Our actions are judged by the higher authorities, the agents of the Lord, and thus we are awarded bodies according to our activities. The law of nature is so subtle that every part of our body is influenced by the respective stars, and the living being obtains his working body to fulfill his terms of imprisonment by the manipulation of such astronomical influence. A man's destiny is therefore ascertained by the birth time, constellation of stars, and the factual horoscope is made by a learned astrologer. It is a great science, and the misuse of a science does not make it useless. Maharaj Parikshit, or even the personality of Godhead, appear in certain constellations of good stars, and thus the influence is exerted upon the body, thus born at an auspicious moment. The most auspicious constellation of stars takes place during the appearance of the Lord in the material world, and it is specifically called Jayanti, a word not to be abused for any other purposes. Maharaj Parikshit was not only a great Kshatriya emperor, but also a great devotee of the Lord. Thus, he cannot take his birth at any inauspicious moment. As a proper place and time is selected to receive a respectable personage, so also to perceive such a personality as Maharaj Parikshit, who was especially cared for by the Supreme Lord, a suitable moment is chosen when all good stars assemble together to exert their influence upon the king. Thus, he took his birth just to be known as the great hero of Srimad Bhagavatam. The suitable arrangement of astral influences is never a creation of man's will, but is the arrangement of the superior management of the agency of the Supreme Lord. Of course, the arrangement is made according to the good or bad deeds of the living being. Herein lies the importance of pious acts performed by the living being. Only by pious acts can one be allowed to get good wealth, good education, and beautiful features. The samskaras of the school of Sanatana Dharma, man's eternal engagement, are highly suitable for creating an atmosphere for taking advantage of good stellar influences, and therefore Garbhodana Samskar, or the first seedling purificatory process prescribed for the higher castes, is the beginning of all pious acts to receive a good, pious, and intelligent class of men in human society. There will be sane population only. There is hell and disturbance only because of the unwanted, insane populace addicted to sex indulgence. So again, the verse. Thereupon, when all the good signs of the zodiac gradually evolved, the heir apparent of Pandu, who would be exactly like him in prowess, took birth. Om Gyanati Mirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Hina Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Shri Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Candramauli Swami Niti Namine. So this verse is about very much about the stars and the planets and the effects of those, the influence these have upon us. And actually, in my youth, I had a lot of opinion about astrology, and it wasn't really really a good opinion, because in the West, many things is going on called astrology. And yeah, one of the stories which I had was, I had a friend, a girl in elementary school, and she already had a boyfriend, but read the astrology for the next week that she would meet someone who would be so suitable for her. And she just decided to break up with her boyfriend because of that. So it has a great effect on me, and I didn't have a good opinion about astrology. But actually, astrology is the part of Vedic science. So it's not some kind of hocus pocus or something, but it's really science, because it's part of the Vedas, and Veda, the word itself, actually means science, and it can be useful if we know how to use it. But also it's a good question sometimes that amongst all the people, all the devotees who are astrologers, some people do it better, some not. So it's always a matter of cautiousness, I would say, to find someone who is really good in this science. So actually, when we speak about science, I would start from here and gradually move to the more specific topics. So I have one one picture which I would like to share. I very much like this because it really says a lot about Western oh yeah, you see it. So about Western so-called knowledge and science. So this is a scientist called Gus Speth, and he said that I used to think that the top environmental problems were biodiversity loss, ecosystem collapse, and climate change. I thought that with 30 years of good science, we could address those problems, but I was wrong. The top environmental problems are selfishness, greed, and apathy. And to deal with those, we need a spiritual and cultural transformation. And we scientists don't know how to do that. So it's very nicely said. What is the problem with science? That it doesn't really address the main causes of problems, but tries to handle the symptoms on the surface, but while handling the symptoms on the surface, not dealing with the root causes, actually it solves one problem, but in reality it causes another. It causes another one. So in reality, it doesn't really solve anything. Sometimes even make bigger problems than they really are. So when we speak about Vedic knowledge, it's different, very much different, and we can discuss this topic from many points of view, how different Vedic knowledge is. One thing is that that Vedic knowledge has a transformative effect. So that's why it always deals with Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana, because it takes into consideration where we are now, what is the current situation, current position, our current nature, etc. And it describes which way we should be headed, what is the goal, what is Prayojan. And it also gives the process, Abhideya, how we can get from our current position to our goal. So it also consists of 3 aspects of knowledge. However, when we in Western society speak about knowledge, we mostly take into consideration the Abhideya part. So we don't really bother checking out where we are now. That's why, for example, in healthcare, all the people are dealt with the same way. Every person's body acts the same way, because they don't diagnose, like, Ayurveda. There is 3 different kinds of body types, and different body types has to be dealt with in a different way. So we don't really bother checking out where we are now and where we will actually get after we apply these certain tools, these certain processes. So mostly we just deal with the tool, the process itself. And also another example for that is internet and social media. It can be a nice tool actually to reach others, even for us devotees, for using it for preaching, to let as many people know about Krishna and the spiritual science, as many people as possible. But the problem is that although we have the tool, we don't know how to properly use it. And that's also part of the knowledge. Real knowledge also consists of how to use the tools. So instead of properly using it and have benefits, real benefits, many people struggle with, all the time sitting in front of a computer and just watching one post after another, doesn't even remember them even after 2 minutes, and just contaminating the mind, because also we are not really conscious about what kind of content we watch. So this is one aspect of knowledge. Another aspect is that I also mentioned already that Vedic knowledge gives different tools for different type of people. For example, there are 18 main Puranas, and 6 of them for those who are in the mode of ignorance, 6 of those for those who are in the mode of passion, and 6 of those are for those who are in the mode of goodness. And also, the Varnashram system is there also, which suggests different types of duties for different Varnas, because different Varnas are in different modes of nature. So Vedic knowledge gives different duties, different different tools for those who are in different situations, who have different kinds of nature. And also another interesting point is, I heard it last week from one senior Mataji here. She mentioned that we also have to have knowledge both about creation, maintenance, and destruction. And many times we think that when we can create, that's knowledge. And we don't even bother with maintenance, but definitely not about destruction. I mean, we don't consider destruction a good thing, but it also has a knowledge. And for example, he mentioned that we create all these plastics in the world, but we don't know how to get rid of them, how to destroy them. And actually, this causes great difficulties for the world. So it's also like, you know, when these warriors, for example, learned how to use their weapons, like different astral weapons, this Brahmastra, they also knew how to call it back. So this Vedic knowledge was in a broader type of thing, broader type of practice and knowledge than what we think knowledge is. And last but not least, it's not just about, you know, information, but about practice, about applying things. So not just Gyan, but Vigyan also. So this leads us to a conclusion that it's not enough to have some kind of knowledge just as tools, as information, but we also have to know when we should use it and how we should use it. And we also have to have some kind of qualification for that. Just imagine like going to the doctor because, for example, previously I had pain in my joints, in my knee. So I went to the doctor, and the doctor gave me some pills which helps to, you know, suppress the pain or rebuild a little bit these joints. But he also said that it would be important to lose some weight. And you know, okay, I come back home. I buy the medicines, but sometimes the description of the medicine also contains when you should take it, how you should take it, before eating, after eating, not take it with like lemon juice or other fruit juices, or with little water, full glass of water. So it's important how you take it, how you apply it. And also sometimes we have to change our lifestyle, like the doctor told me that I should lose weight. So maybe it gives a sense about that it's really important how we apply what we get. And when it's about Vedic astrology, I read a very nice description about this from Kadamba Kanana Swami. It's just a short part, I just read it. In the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it says that astrology is relevant to that which takes birth. Because after all, it says that the soul never takes birth. This kind of gives us the final conclusion on astrology. It is not relevant to the soul. Therefore, through astrology, one cannot actually determine the destiny of the soul, but one can determine the destiny of the body, the destiny of the mind, and one can determine destiny according to karma. So, yeah, I also heard about this. One Mataji told me. Unfortunately, she didn't know the source, but probably from one Acharya, who said that regarding astrology, the ultimate truth is that which is relevant for everyone is that everyone will die, and in one sense, it really makes us how to say it gives us the understanding that whenever we turn to astrology, we are curious about what will happen to our body, what will happen to our mind, and many times how our life could become more comfortable, how we could enjoy more, how we could avoid suffering. So these things mostly connect to the body. Sometimes some people ask about what kind of things I should work on myself. That's somewhat better, but it's mostly about the body. And in astrology, actually, as I heard our fate, but these are indicating our fate. So that's how they make these birth charts. So whatever position the planets are at our birth, they can show what kind of things would happen to us. But regarding devotees, actually, Krishna personally manages and arranges fate of a devotee. It's not like, planets would be there and won't show whatever happened to us, but rather Krishna uses these things, using our karma to purify us and elevates us, to help us develop love for him. So in one sense, our fate doesn't really change that much in the material sense, but it will change in a spiritual sense. And that's the main importance. So if we see this with material vision, and with the vision of dualities, then sometimes bad things happen to us, sometimes good things happen to us, and we are interested how we could avoid the bad things, and instead of those having some more good things, and that's the goal. But if we see with spiritual vision, then we can understand that whenever some apparently bad thing happen, because Krishna is in the picture, Krishna will arrange it in a way that, maybe it will be suffering in the material sense. Maybe we will consider it materially a bad thing, but he will make sure that ultimately, spiritually, it will be beneficial for us, and spiritually, it will be a good thing. It will help us make some progress in our spiritual life. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, for 11th verse, that as all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. So if we surrender to Krishna, then we actually not just let him, but ask him to please take care of my life. And if we really mean that, then Krishna will make sure that whatever happens to us will be auspicious and beneficial in a spiritual sense. So it doesn't mean that that in the material sense we won't feel any more pain, or we won't feel sad sometimes, but we can be sure that all of these will be ultimately beneficial. And so 2 more pictures illustrating this point. So I very much like this picture, which says, no pressure, no diamonds. So this actually shows that whenever some so-called bad things, material bad things happen to us, then Krishna actually makes the diamonds in us. So this very nicely shows this point. And I also like this, that which says everything will be okay, maybe not okay, but it will be a little weird, a bit challenging, different than what you had imagined, but manageable. So Krishna always makes sure that we can handle what he gave. So whenever he gives some difficulties, tests, it's all the time to such an extent which we can handle and from which we are able to learn from, if we want to, because obviously there is free will. So, but if we don't use astrology in a conscious way, then there can be also some dangers. One of these is that whenever we think that we can avoid all the sufferings which our karma has in store for us and which the planets indicate, then we think that we are the controllers. And Krishna says that the spirit soul, bewildered by the influence of false ego, thinks himself the doer of activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. Yeah, according to karma. So actually, we are not really able to avoid what karma Krishna has in store for us. I found a funny picture on internet lately, and it said that there was one man who had so much difficulties with his wife that he instead wanted to rob a bank so he can get into jail and then he can go away from his wife. But whatever happened was that, yeah, he went to rob the bank and he was caught. But instead of sending him to jail, he was sent into house arrest. So, you know, that's karma. So whatever you have to live with, you have to live with. So it's a funny story, is illustrating that. Another danger in astrology, that if we don't use it properly, then it can shift our attention away from Krishna. You know, if we meditate on difficulties like, yeah, Krishna sent it to me to purify my heart, to surrender even more, to develop more love for him, then if we can meditate on these things, our relationship with Krishna will get stronger and stronger. But if we are too much into astrology, then we start to think about the planets. And, you know, when two devotees meet and oh, how is your day? How are you? Oh, it's terrible. And I heard the Saturn planet is in this way and that way on the sky. And you know, we are in a planet consciousness. So it can be a difficulty. I even heard lately about one Mataji who told me that she had an astrological chart in every month to know what she should work on. But you know, every month seems to be a bit too much. Anyway, it's just my opinion. But the main point is that we can get carried away. And there is this verse which actually Krishna says about the demigods, that I am in everyone's heart as the super soul. As soon as one desires to worship some demigod, I make his faith steady so that he can devote himself to that particular deity. But maybe you also saw that whenever we start to have some interest in something, it can, or some kind of doubts, then sometimes we get the possibilities to go deeper into that thing. I knew a young girl who was very, very much interested in devotional life, in Krishna consciousness, and she was so much into it that she already started to discuss with the Budapest temple leaders that she would move into the ashram, the Mataji ashram here. But she had some doubts, which she actually didn't really discuss with the senior devotees. She rather decided that, okay, I will check it out on internet. And you know, on internet you can find anything. And Google and YouTube and all these pages act actually the same way which Krishna writes about here, that whatever you are interested in, Google and YouTube will give it to you. So if you have doubts and you start to search about that thing, then you will get results about that. And in the end, this girl decided that okay, she will just skip all this Krishna consciousness, and she left the devotees. And she had actually, in the end, she had a discussion about a senior devotee who was preaching to her, and this Prabhu told her that what really hurt him the most is that this girl believed more to some, unknown face, someone who wrote on internet, than someone who she really had some kind of relationship with. They knew already each other, they had discussions, but in the end, whatever she read on internet, she believed it more. So this is where it could lead if we have some kind of interest, some kind of doubt. So we really should be conscious about this. And
Radha Vinodini, I'm sorry
yes?
for interrupting you, but there seems to be some kind of a static in when you're speaking. Your voice is coming through clearly, but in the background there's some kind of static.
Yeah, but it's not from me. There is someone called Subhag, and who is not muted.
Oh, I have to mute them. Sorry.
Okay, thank you.
It's my mistake. I apologize.
Oh, no. Thank you very much for paying attention to such details. Thank you so much. So in the Vedas, which this science of astrology is also part of. So the ultimate goal is to always remember Krishna, always think of him, always serve him. So this is the ultimate goal. And whatever is there in the Vedas, all serve this one purpose. But, just like when you have a knife, you can use it for killing, or you can use it for preparing nice food offerings to Krishna. So tools are tools, not more, not less. And we should be always conscious about how we use astrology, because astrology is not good or bad. It can help us, or it can be a distraction. So when we speak about how it can be useful, I've heard one, Srila Prabhupada said this, that the Vaishnava attitude and Siddhanta is whatever may come, but if you know it's going to rain, it's better to have an umbrella. Again, he repeated it. So our philosophy is, as Maharaj Kulashekar said, whatever may come, by your mercy, let it come. That's our philosophy. That's our Siddhanta. But if you know it's going to rain, it's better to take an umbrella. So it also shows that that astrology is like that, like an umbrella, that we can use it as a tool. And also there is another picture which I would like to show, because it's a very nice example on this, that sometimes we think that we are happier when more enjoyable things happen to us, but as we all know, happiness is not it doesn't depend on our circumstances. So we can be happy even if it rains, even if it doesn't rain. So here in the picture we can see that in the same circumstances, different people react differently. So obviously there won't be a point that we leave our bodies and we meet Krishna, and Krishna says that you used astrology, probably you would have reached me now, because you could have worked on yourself more, but because you didn't use astrology, you have to go back and take birth again. So it's not like that. Bhakti doesn't depend on anything material. So whatever we can gain with astrology, we can gain in other ways also. So astrology is useful when we want to find an auspicious time and date and time for some auspicious event. So this is the main purpose, actually. For example, when it's beneficial to do some kind of samskar, as I heard, astrology is actually a part of astronomy. That's the general science, which is for determining when Ekadashi is, when Janmastami would take place, and so on. And also another thing which even Srila Prabhupada said that it's astrology is good for that, to check the compatibility between man and woman before marriage. And I've heard about this, that because, not one soul marries to another soul in one sense, but one gross and subtle body to another gross and subtle body. And they can work together in a better way if these gross and subtle bodies are more compatible with each other. Just as we read previously from Kadambakana Maharaj, that astrology is about material things, those who take birth and who will die. So this is what astrology is for. And another example is that, for example, in last year, I started to help one Mataji for festivals to make the Mangala sweets. And she also made sandesh. And the interesting part was that she had a food processor. And when this paneer was made, she put the paneer into this food processor and made it more smooth. And after that, some other processes were there to make it even more smooth. But, I was so surprised that, there is this traditional Vedic recipe of sandesh, and we use food processor in the making. But it's a nice example here that food processor makes it easier to prepare the sandesh in a nice way. But even if we don't have food processor, it's not like we cannot make sandesh. And another example is that, for example, there are these those who go on ships, those people. And now there are all these GPSs and other technologies showing which different navigational systems. But it's not like hundreds of years ago, people couldn't properly travel on the seas and oceans, because at those times they just watched the sky, and based on the stars they could navigate properly. So using this tool or that tool, the main point is that there should be some kind of tool which we can utilize. And I also heard one example when it was really, really useful. One Mataji had some kind of mental disease, and it was really, really, really difficult for her. And the interesting point was that she even had some kind of suicidal thoughts, and that's really serious. But she had the astrological chart, which showed that, yeah, you have a period of time when Saturn is has more effect on your life, but it will finish at this and this time. So just keep going on till then, and after that it will be easier. And because, it wasn't like just some kind of everyday difficulties, but, when the mind has these problems, that's the psyche, it's more difficult. And it really happened that after that period of time passed, she didn't have all these difficulties. So all these suicidal thoughts also passed. So, you know, she knew that, okay, I will just have to carry until this time, and after that it will be better, because it was really extreme for her. That's my main point. So when it's about using this astrology, so we should ask two questions from ourselves. One thing is that if I have the certain analysis based on astrology, I really will use it or not, because you know, sometimes they make these compatibility tests, and I don't even know if I heard about any cases when the compatibility was low, and the lady, the Mataji and the Prabhu decided that, okay, it's so low that we just don't continue these relationships. On the other hand, I heard many stories like, okay, it's bad, but we are devotees, we will manage it. So, you know, in this case, what's the point of astrology? So, okay, can we adjust our lives according to what we hear? Can we accept even the bad news or not? Because if we, you know, using Prabhupada's example, if we carry the umbrella with us in the rain, but don't open it, then what's the point of the umbrella? Why carrying it on the streets? That's one thing. And another thing is that from whom we can accept the corrections. So, for example, imagine like someone comes to us that, oh, dear Prabhu, dear Mataji, we discussed with the devotees that it's a bit difficult to cooperate with you, because many times we try to explain our thoughts, our ideas to you, but you always seem to just brush it away and don't take it to consideration. And you know, it feels like we go right into the wall with our heads, and it's a bit difficult. Or you go to the astrologer, and the astrologer tells you like something like, sorry, I don't know this science, but something like, oh, the Saturn is in the house of the moon, or something like that. So it shows that you have some kind of self-esteem problems. So in both cases, you hear the same thing, but can you accept it from the devotees, or can you accept it from the astrologer? And here, I don't want to say that one is good and the other is bad. I would like to emphasize emphasize the point that if you can accept it from the astrologer, then go to the astrologer, because the main point that you can work on yourself. If you can accept it from the devotees, then you should ask the devotees more about this. The main point is to go forward in Krishna consciousness. And we can even combine the two. So the main point is, whatever tool is you can use more, use that one. It's not like there are rules for everyone has to use the same tools. And last but not least, I would just like to read a few quotes from Srila Prabhupada about this topic. And with that, I would like to end here. So in one class in Bombay, Tamal Krishna Maharaj asked Srila Prabhupada about what is the position of astrology in Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada said that astrology is a science. Krishna consciousness has nothing to do with astrology, but it is the general custom that as soon as a child is born, the astrologers come. That is the Indian system, Vedic system. In another class, he said that regarding astrology, you should not listen to any of these so-called astrologers. Strictly avoid. Don't even see them. What spiritualist does not care for the future? Everything is dependent upon Krishna. So where is the necessity of astrology? The devotee's principle is, let there happen anything as Krishna desires. Let me remain sincere devotee, that's all. Pure devotee is never interested in astrology. You nicely with your deity worship there, and read my books very carefully, and without fail chant 16 rounds on beads daily. And another letter to one devotee: no, you should not bother with all this nonsense. Astrology will not save you at the time of death. My Guru Maharaj was a great astronomer, but he gave it all up. It is meant for the karmis. We have no interest in such things. And this is the last one. It's a pastime. You probably also heard about this. It's Vishala Das wanted to find an astrologer in Vrindavan. Without consulting Prabhupada, he found one who was wearing tilak and chanting Hare Krishna. Vishal wanted to get something he had seen other residents of Vrindavan wearing, a charm you wear around your neck that has on it all the mantras of the demigods. It was supposed to counteract all the bad influences. The astrologer sold him one of these neck pieces, and it all sounded very nice. He told Vishala to dip it into the Yamuna and have an arati at 12 noon. So after this, Brahmananda Maharaj noticed Vishala's new ornament. Vishala, said Brahmananda Swami, what's that you have around your neck? Then Vishala told him, and Brahmananda Swami replied, Prabhupada says we don't have to add anything to this process. At these words, Vishala became disturbed. He thought that Brahmananda Swami was right, and he also felt embarrassed. Why are you wearing this? Brahmananda Swami demanded. Vishala replied that he would like to talk to Prabhupada, and he asked if he could have an appointment. When Vishala went to see Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada asked him how much he had paid the astrologer and what he had said. Vishala said the astrologer had claimed the charm would ward off the ill effects of the planets. Krishna consciousness is beyond astrology, said Prabhupada. If you surrender to Krishna, with a slight kick, Krishna can annihilate 100,000 Rahu planets. So Vishala put aside his astrological necklace and just depended on Prabhupada and Krishna. Soon after, a godbrother showed Vishala a letter he had received from Prabhupada about the same subject matter. It's the same letter which we read previously, that when it's at the time of death, it won't help us. So probably you also think that in our lives, it doesn't seem like Krishna is kicking all the Rahu planets aside, but the main point is that Krishna many times uses these effects of Rahu planets, so we can move forward towards him. And this is actually the most beneficial thing, whatever can happen to us. So my conclusion would be that whatever way the planets are on the sky, our greatest fortune for all our lives is that we met the devotees and we can practice Krishna consciousness. We have our beloved Guru Maharaj, and we have the amazing Hare Krishna mantra and all the other parts of our process. So that's the greatest luck. That's our greatest fortune, and we should utilize these properly. And then all the other stuff about planets is not so important. So thank you very much for all your patience. I thought it would be shorter today because I had not so many pages, but I talked a lot in the end. But thank you for your patience, and we can open up for discussion now.
Thank you, Radha Vinodini, for such a exhaustive presentation on this wonderful verse. You spoke on so many aspects of astrology, not just astrology, but you also spoke about some practical things that are applicable to our day-to-day life, and how ultimately Krishna consciousness is beyond all this, because Krishna is the supreme controller of all the planets and he can do anything, as you rightly pointed out in that last letter of Srila Prabhupada. It is interesting to me how you interwove so many nice stories along with presenting the philosophy in such a way that it became very attractive, interesting, educational, informative. and of course, transcendental. So thank you very much for a very well thought out presentation on a difficult topic, as you rightly said, which you don't have much fondness for. So you really tackled it great. Thank you very much for that. So dear devotees, we have just listened to a really wonderful class by Her Grace Radha Vinodini Mataji. I encourage all of you who are here on the call to please consider your questions, comments, realizations, feedback, experiences, and sharing. Thank you, Namrata. Please go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to our dear Guru Maharaj. All glories to the wonderful Vaishnavas. All glories to your wonderful service. In the wonderfulest lectures you always give. I'm always looking forward to that. Thank you for this another one. Yes, in fact, this is a puzzling topic for me as well, astrology, because staying in India, you are quite surrounded with all these things. But somehow, there are a lot of karma kandis, Brahmins in India. So, the topic, the astrology is very popular here. But then somehow I was never convinced with the astrological facts, and I tried. But still, I had some curiosity, so I tried to find that out in the culture of ISKCON. So from Amog Leela Prabhuji, I could find that he mentioned once in his lecture that astrology is basically it's the chart of our previous life's karma. So it's the chart which represents what you're going to pay off, what you're going to reward, or how you are going to according to your karma. Basically it's based on your karmas, and you're going to life after life, if you have no break in those in those chain, then you're going to continue with those rewards, and you're continuing with those punishments. So the charts will keep forming. But if one is taking Krishna consciousness, then there are the chances of breaking this chain. So recently, not recently, but 2 years ago, I was in some troublesome time, but then I was not convinced too much. I preferred to depend on Krishna, whatever he gave. I wanted to accept that, but my guide, she said that we will look up to the charts, and there was one devotee in the ISKCON culture who was an astrologer. So I told my guide that I'm not going to look at. I don't want to listen to what she says, but then yes, you're my guide, so I trust you. You just hear what she says, and you can guide me according to that. So that is what I could do. I didn't wanted to listen to and form a mindset, as you rightly said in your lecture, that sometimes it becomes dangerous. If you consult a astrologer, and if he or she says something good to you, and if that thing happens, then you start depending on that. So I didn't want to catch those mindsets, and so I preferred from a distance. So this was one of my experience, and this is what I try to look up when it comes to astrology. So and the umbrella concept is also one thing which I have heard also, and which you mentioned also. So thank you. But still, I still am not totally convinced, to consult astrologers, as you read. And I think it was Tamal Krishna Goswami, or who was that, who mentioned that
it was all from Prabhupada, actually. The question was from Tamal Krishna Goswami.
Okay. So even I like that answer which Prabhupada gave, that it's better to do bhakti. We should concentrate on do bhakti. Yeah, thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much for your comment. It was really, really useful. Yeah, it actually reminded me that there was one time when I asked an astrologer, because my counselor here in Hungary suggested to me regarding these ashram topics, what fate has in store for me, and I called one of the devotees here who is an astrologer. And I didn't know the exact time of my birth, so only the date and little bit of which part of the day. So it wasn't an exact chart, But she said that she can tell me a few things, and I started to listen to her, and after some time I felt like, oh my God, I want to get out of this discussion because the interesting was that one thing was that she mentioned things which I thought that I start to think in a different way. If I know something about the future, or I think I know about something, I take these things into consideration, and for me it's difficult. Maybe for others it's not, I don't know about that. And the other thing was that she said that I would have some kind of stomach problem in the future, but if I chant this mantra and that mantra to Hanuman and all these things, and I thought that, oh my God, I don't want to chant mantras for stomach pains or something like that. And I was thinking that actually probably many devotees are interested in these kind of things, and that's why she starts to tell these things. But in the end, our conclusion was that, okay, I would find out my exact birth date, but I gave a little thought to it, and I just decided that, oh, please, I'm sorry, I don't want to continue this anymore, because for me it's not easy. That's my experience with this, but all of us are different. So as I mentioned, I know of someone who was lucky that this chart was there. So it might be useful, but it's different in every case.
It's interesting that you just said that, Radha Vinodini. I hope that's satisfactory, Namrata. That's whatever you discussed.
Much.
Okay.
Okay. Such my experience. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Because as you were speaking just now, the last sentence you said is different for different people. I was remembering reading His Holiness Indradyumna Swami Maharaj's Diary of a Traveling Preacher. In that, he mentions how he regularly consults with his astrologer before he plans a particular trip, because so many things can happen and so many lives are involved and so many, politically sensitive issues. All those, it's a big mega operation what he does, the Woodstock Festival and the Polish tour and everything. So it was very interesting to me to hear that he regularly consults his astrologer and takes his advice and all that. And to me, it seems that he has built a very strong relationship. His astrologer knows him very well. He knows the astrologer very well. So in that case, there's a high level of trust and there's a high level of understanding. It's like a doctor-patient relationship,
Mm-hmm.
And it's a new doctor and the doctor says something, you don't really readily accept it. But as you keep going to the doctor and every time you find that this doctor is really giving you good results, is treating you well, is ameliorating your symptoms with the least possible, then you start developing some kind of a faith in the doctor. And then you really accept when he says, no, I want you to avoid taking this food, or I want you to increase that, or I want you to take this medicine, then you more readily accept it. So I think to some extent, it also depends on the level of trust and the relationship we have with astrologer and astrology. That's also there, So of course we depend on Krishna. Ultimately, that's I mean, that's what we do. We are Hare Krishnas, and that's what we do. We depend on Krishna. But at the same time, I do know that there are several top leaders in our movement and people who do consult astrology. His Prahladhananda Swami himself is an astrologer, and he does a lot of astrological readings also. Bhanu Swami, he's an astrologer. I don't know who else, but quite a few top people in our movement are astrologers.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned that it's different for different people, because for me this was the most extreme example that astrology actually saved someone's life. So it really shows that that it can be useful. So yeah, the main point is how we use it. Just
right. Yeah, it's a bona fide science, and when astrologer can actually tell you a lot of things that may be beneficial. How you use it, that's a different story. That is so true. Okay, dear devotees, if anybody else would like to share their comments, their thoughts, or have some questions, now is the time to jump in and ask. We have Ilenia with a question waiting, which I said we will discuss at the end of the class. So if there are no more questions related to the class, then only we will go to Ilenia's question. We have Shubhaga, we have Srimati, we have Revati, we have
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, we have Ilenia, we have Janava, we have Shashidhar, we have Sukhavaha, we have Madhavananda Prabhu, our god brother, Hare Mataji, Hare Krishna, Subhaga.
Hare
So
Krishna.
please, if you have
How
any
are you?
questions?
No,
Very good.
its lecture is very, very wonderful. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Ilenia.
Hare Paul. Thank you very much. Can you answer the question? Because I am in a temple of Villa Vrindavana, and the yatra is very very happy to join the lesson of Guru Maharaj.
Okay. So for knowing what is Guru Maharaj's schedule and when they can set up the lecture, it's best to contact Srimati Mataji. Srimati is in charge of all that as part of the Zoom hosting that she does. But in general, Guru Maharaj class happens every day, except when he's traveling or going to some place or has some other important appointment or something like that. So as far as I know, Guru Maharaj will be giving class tomorrow. That's the earliest. And so if Vrindavan wants to join in, just connect with Srimati, and she will be happy to give them the Zoom details and the time and how to join and everything. And they can join every day if they like, every day. Because Guru Maharaj's class happens almost every day, except when he's traveling.
Okay, thank you very much, Mataji. Thank you.
You
Hare
have
Krishna.
Srimati's phone number and you have a WhatsApp?
Yes, but you sent me because I'm not
I'll
certain.
send you. Okay, I'll send you her details.
Hare Krishna. Hare Bol.
Thank you, Ilenia. So dear devotees, if you have no further questions, we can end the call at this point and thank Radha Vinodini Mataji for such a scholarly presentation and for encouraging us that Krishna can kick out 100,000 Rahu planets.
Hey.
So don't worry, whatever's in your chart, it doesn't matter. Just chant Hare Krishna and Krishna will take care of the rest. Haribol. Thank you, Radha Vinodini. You read out some beautiful quotes from Prabhupada that puts everything into perspective for us. So thank you very much. Dear devotees, we value your presence, your association, your questions. So please join us again tomorrow, same time. See you soon. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, it's Ekadashi. Thank you, Shashidhar, for pointing out it is Ekadashi tomorrow. Ekadashi is a day when we take extra special pains to do something for Krishna that we don't normally do, which is chant extra rounds, decrease physical exertion, try to focus more on reading, on seva, on hearing. So highly encourage you to take advantage of the mother of devotion, known as Ekadashi, and at least chant extra rounds. Srila Prabhupada said 16 rounds on every day and 25 rounds on Ekadashi. Then later on, he said, why 25? Chant 25,000 rounds. But then that's Prabhupada. Prabhupada was chanting all the time, 24/7. So thank you all very much. See you all tomorrow. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mother.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Shashidhar. You reminded us for Ekadashi. Thank you so much. Haribol.
Thank you, Radha Vinodini Mataji. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.